was born in Singapore in 1948. I had a very happy childhood. Being poor, it didn't made any difference because I had a lot of interesting things to play with, especially big drains. Before the monsoon come, you can run up and down the big drains and play catch. And when the water comes in, we just build little paper boats and sail it down the big drains, and we didn't know where it would go. And then when we run down to the end of the road, we could see where the boats were all crushed up on the wall. It was quite a funny childhood and very good memories, you know. Something I could never replace today is those sort of memories. In 1970, when I finished my school, I worked for my father, and I wasn't happy. I knew jobs were very difficult to find, and I was always looking for something to further my mind, you know, because at the time, the hippie movement was very big, and it was frowned upon, especially men with long hair, women with headbands on. Well, you know, they're really hippies. You know, you don't want to mix with them. But in my mind, I thought, wow, what a wonderful lifestyle they led. You know, they were able to travel, hitchhiking across the world, and come to visit us in Singapore. And I thought, I want to do that. But I managed. Then, after a while, I just said to myself, I'm not happy with the job that my father offered me, and I was looking for something different. And my girlfriend introduced Herb to me in 1970, and he said, "Why only go up to Malaysia? Why don't you come travel with me across the world?" You know, and I said, "I don't have a lot of money." He said, "Well, how much do you have?" I said, "Well, I have about 750 Singapore dollars, which wasn't worth a lot of money." And then he said, "Look, hitchhiking is cheap." I said, "Oh, okay." So I plucked up my courage. I told my parents, I was 21. I told my parents that I'm going to leave Singapore. My mom said, "What for?" My dad said, "You're crazy." My grandmother said, "You're nuts." My grandfather said, "You got a home here. Why want to go somewhere else? You have nothing." I said, "Adventure." We made our trip over to Australia in 1974. We bought a car in Germany, and with our little girl at the time who was 2.5, we traveled overland from Germany to Singapore, and it was a really exciting time. It was like still very raw in the 70s, and everything was in US dollars, and we saved up a lot of money to travel, and we came to Australia in 1974. And it was fine in the beginning of 74. We came in June. It was dry season. It was, wow, this is really good, you know. It's like spring temperature in Canada, and I really enjoyed it. And then come November, I thought, oh my God, the weather hit me, and I was said, this is crazy. I don't like this weather. I don't like the heat, the humidity. I wasn't well. My daughter was grumpy, and then cyclone came. We were looking after our friend's house in 74, and the house was elevated, and it felt like the high seas. The house was moving like a high seas, and I said to him, "Oh, this is scary. You know, this is scary." And we moved downstairs to another place because a lot of the front section of the house was blown away, and we were like separated by one thin wall. And somebody said, "I think you better come down. Your house might get blown away." So we did. We went down to the unit downstairs, and there we sat for most of the night. And then suddenly there was an implosion because they didn't open the windows on both sides, so there was an implosion. And I ran into the bathroom, but my daughter and my husband both went to the kitchen. He put her down on the floor, and then the water started coming in. And because the implosion also had shards of glass on the ground, and the glass floated to them, and they both got cut. So I came away unscathed, but both of them had stitches on, and I said, I'm never coming back to Australia again, you know. In the end, we came back again in 77, So instead of driving, we flew from Canada to America, and then America via Sydney. We came to Sydney, and then we drove all the way up here. And you won't believe it. We arrived here in March, and there was an earthquake. I decided then, my heart was still back in Canada, but at the end of the day, I thought I have to make something of myself here, and find a job and settle down. And the family was happy, so I had no choice. I settled myself down in 1999 and realized that, this is a good place to be in. Where else can you afford to go to university? Where else can you own a 5-acre plot of land? Where else would the government loan you the money to buy your land? Nobody does it. And with a small deposit, you are able to enjoy this kind of freedom. We have so much freedom in this country. Every time I go away, I come back, I always thought, you know what? I'm the lucky one. I'm the lucky one to have a beautiful place to come back to. So my place is always an open house. You can come and make yourself comfortable. It's there for you to enjoy. It's my philosophy. Australia has been very kind to me. If I was to be in Singapore and at 35 I would go to the university and say, I want to do an arts degree, they probably look at me, saying, no, you're too old. You're too old to go to uni. We don't have classes for 35-year-olds, And but in Australia, I didn't even have to do a bridging. I just went up there. They say, well, what's your background? I say, well, I've sort of finished high school, something like 20 years ago. Yeah, okay, we can enroll you. I enjoy doing my glass. Because glass is a very different medium. I use what I call window glass or float glass, and create my images from my garden. I have images of hibiscus, of the cycad branches, and I incorporate that into my glass. And I use enamel, which is ground down glass, and fuse them into my glass, and put in the kiln. I am different from other glass artists in that I use the material that that is available here, and that's cheap, and create my own images. Whereas other glass artists use very expensive glass, and they have to sell the glass at a very, very high price, which I felt was not justifiable. You have to age gracefully. I tend to be a bit more slack when it comes to my health. I thought, okay, I'm now moving to be 67. I think I can afford to indulge in full cream milk, full cream, cheese and all that sort of stuff. I don't have to worry about cholesterol, because if I die tomorrow, at least I die happy, that I'm enjoying my life, and I will have lovely coffee. They say, oh, coffee is not good for you. I said, I don't care. I have good coffee, good cream milk in that, and I have my cream buns and all that sort of things that I tend to avoid when I was younger. But now I indulge in all the sort of things, and you got to enjoy pleasures in life.